Every year on this day, what I try to do is put myself in the shoes of the disciples, really into the psyche of the disciples. And I try to process what it must have been like to experience the overwhelming grief, doubt, disillusionment of what they had just experienced. This is the most human day of all of Holy Week. What is up, Under God podcast viewers and listeners? You are here with us on Silent Saturday, the day between the cross and the crown. This is the day after Jesus died. And on this Saturday, what so many people who were following Jesus had to think in this moment is that God is dead. The tomb is sealed. The city is quiet. For those who've been following Jesus for the last 3 years, their world has completely collapsed. And this is the day that no one saw coming. This is the day that no one expected. And on this day, there's no teachings. There's no miracles. There's no showdowns in the temple. There's no hope. There's just silence, shadows, grief. Luke 23:56 says that they went home and prepared spices and perfumes, but they rested on the Sabbath in obedience to the commandment. Friday, there was still some work to do, getting ready to put Jesus into the tomb. But on Saturday, it's done, and they have to rest. Every year on this day, what I try to do is put myself in the shoes of the disciples, really into the psyche of the disciples. And I try to process what it must have been like to experience the overwhelming grief, doubt, disillusionment of what they had just experienced. This is the most human day of all of Holy Week. Jesus, the one that they believed the Messiah was the Messiah, the Son of God. He had been beaten, mocked, and murdered like a criminal on a Roman cross. And now everything seems hopeless. Everything is over. It begs the question, what do you do when everything you believe is now buried behind a stone that you can't move? They had seen miracles. They've heard the voice of authority. Peter had even confessed, "You are the Christ, Son of the living God." And now all they could see was death. They're afraid. They're ashamed. They're often hiding, separated, split up. And remember just one day earlier what happened with Peter. Peter had denied Jesus right after the crucifixion. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. We read this in Luke 22. It says, "Then the rooster crowed, and Peter remembered the word of the Lord, and he went out and he wept bitterly." When I say I try to get into the shoes of the disciples, the psyche of the disciples, I try to remember and think. I guess remember is the wrong word. I try to think like what it must have been like to be Peter on Saturday, sitting there replaying every word that he had said to that little girl. "Are you with the one from Galilee? I don't even know the man." Wondering in fear about what's going to happen next. And no doubt remembering how he had argued with Jesus at the Last Supper and said, they'll all leave you, but I'll never leave you. And then, of course, he must have remembered the words that Jesus had spoken to him just a couple days before. He told him, he said, Simon, it's his name, Simon Peter, "Satan has demanded to sift you like wheat, but I have prayed that your faith wouldn't fail." Go on to tell him, "So when you've repented and you return to me, strengthen your brothers." And it must have felt like in this moment that his faith had failed. He had denied Jesus 3 times. The way the Bible sort of puts it, it almost sounds like it says he was cursing him. He's blaspheming him. I don't even know the blankety blank man. And yet Jesus had told him that would happen, and then told him there would be a moment of repentance where he would turn back and then give strength to his brother, all of his brothers. But what does it even mean when Jesus is laying in a tomb? I don't think Peter could even get his head around all of this. I can barely get my head around it, and I know the end of the story. It's so overwhelming. But I think, in a way, this Holy Saturday is for all of us who have failed and even know how to come back. We've all had to go through some kind of Peter moment, processing loss, processing our own betrayal, our own denial, even our own lack of faith. Well, something, and somehow, we're trying to get our minds and our hearts around, how do we not let our faith fail entirely? How do we hold on to something when it seems like there's nothing? And then somehow, no matter how hard it might be, how do we find our pathway back to repentance? This is what Peter's going through, and I don't know about you, but I've had to go through this in my own life several times, where it felt like, man, I've gone too far, I've messed up too much. God must be done with me. This is the kind of moment that Peter's in. But like we talked about yesterday, even while the disciples are all doubting, and Peter, no doubt, is pulling his hair out, wondering what's going to happen next, they're thinking that God is dead. But the truth is, while Jesus' body was in the tomb, his spirit was at work. And we touched on this yesterday, so I won't go too deep in it, but Jesus wasn't suffering anymore. It was finished. His spirit was with the Father. That's where he committed it. And again, his body's laying in a borrowed tomb, which is a fulfillment of a Isaiah prophecy that said he was assigned to the grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death. While his body's resting, the kingdom was actually being announced to powers and principalities. Death itself was being undone. But the disciples, again, stay in their psyche. They don't know any of that. All they knew at this point was a loss, confusion, worry, wondering, and fear. And the temptation right here on this Saturday is always to jump to Sunday. But let's take a moment and stay with Saturday. When you're done with the egg hunts today or the barbecues or whatever else you're doing, I want to encourage you to sit in the solemn solitude of silent Saturday. Just take a minute and just sit in it. And then ask yourself, like, what do I do when God is silent? Do I really believe the promises when I can't see the power happening? I can't see it moving. When it feels like all I'm doing is waiting and I can't even see the light at the end of the tunnel, do I really even trust him? The thing is, even though the disciples were at a complete loss, and I give them a lot of grace because I think I would have been right where they are too, scattered and scared. But if we're really honest about what happened, the truth is Jesus told them exactly what was going to happen. He told them he was going to die, and he told them that he would rise. He promised them that it would not end like this. But like us, I think they forgot in the dark what they had heard in the light. And how many know that's so easy to do? So easy to do. And maybe you're in a Saturday right now. Maybe you're in a season of Saturday. Not just a day, but a whole season of Saturday. Maybe the pain of your Friday was so bad that you're stuck in Saturday and you can't even see that Sunday's coming. Maybe it seems like your tomb is sealed, like your prayers will never be answered. Maybe it even seems like God is dead as far as you're concerned. Maybe the only way that you can even relate to hope is as a distant memory. If that's you on this Saturday, this silent Saturday, I want to encourage you. The silence of God is not the absence of God. And even when you can't see that he's working, even when you can't feel that he's working, you don't feel anything. Even when it seems like he's gone and forgotten that you even exist, can I tell you, he's still working. And what he's working on, while it seems like he's silent, is better than you could possibly ever imagine. So let me tell you today, like Jesus told Peter, it might be hard. The devil himself might be after you. But my prayer for you is the same prayer that Jesus prayed for Peter, that your faith would have failed. Even if it stumbles, even if it falls, I pray it would have failed, that you would wait with great anticipation for your Easter moment, Wait until God shows up after you were certain that he was done. Just wait and see what happens next. Because next is coming. Sunday is coming. And I can't wait for our final episode of the week tomorrow. I want to make sure that you get to an Easter service somewhere. And then I encourage you to jump back on and experience Resurrection Sunday on the Under God podcast. It's going to be powerful. But today, don't move past it too quickly. Sit in the silence. Think about what it would have been like to be one of those disciples on that fateful day. He's dead. He's in the tomb. Hope feels dead with him. But something's stirring and something's coming. And you don't want to miss it. We'll see you tomorrow on the Under God podcast.
Thank you so much for joining us today on the Under God podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like and leave us a review. Your support helps us reach more people with our content. You can stay connected with us on True Social, Facebook, Instagram, and Getter. And don't forget to subscribe on Rumble, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify so you never miss an episode. You can also access show notes and other resources on our website at undergodpodcast.com. See you next time, and remember to think biblically about the things that matter most.